Hi, I'm Steve, the introverted traveler. I've made it my mission in life to explore the beaches, deserts, mountains, and even cityscapes around us, and to do so while avoiding contact with as many people as possible. And although I will never hang out with you for any reason, I do invite you to join me on my journey. Come and see the world through the eyes of an extreme introvert. On this edition, we are exploring Larch Mountain in the Columbia River Gorge near Portland, Oregon. Along the way, we will venture through damp, foggy forests, encounter mutated mushrooms, dance across bridges, and take in the awe-inspiring sight that is a wall of thick mist. All this and much more on this Introverted Travels. Greetings, and I'm back yet again on yet another adventure. And today it is dreary, gray, gloomy, dark, shadowy, overcast, rainy, drizzly, foggy, and overall just absolutely miserable. I think I just described, the state of Oregon, most of the Pacific Northwest, and possibly part of southern Canada, just in that one sentence alone. But more specifically, I am out today on the Larch Mountain Crater Loop Trail here in the beautiful Columbia River Gorge, kind of a different part of the gorge that I've actually never been to before. Normally I'm at the front of the gorge near the Columbia River and I'm kind of going into the forest that way, but there is kind of a middle to the gorge, and then of course there's Mount Hood. I'm kind of in the middle of the gorge, and guess what? This is going to come as a complete shock. I'm in the middle of the forest. Again, for like, what is this, the billionth time? I mean, at this point, if you're watching all of my Pacific Northwest videos, just start taking a shot every time I'm in the middle of the forest, and you'll be drunk in like 3 seconds, because I'm always in the middle of the damn forest. Because again, Oregon, Washington, and part of southern Canada is basically just a pine tree. There's some roads and stuff around it, but it's mostly just pine trees. Pine trees, Douglas firs, the occasional bear and cougar and Bigfoot, and then, the occasional ranting bald guy in the middle of the forest. All right. I don't want to derail my introduction because these things often tend to run way too long, and I'm really trying to keep it as concise as possible, but every time I say I'm going to do that, this thing runs like 7 minutes long. So, for the sake of myself while I'm editing, I'm going to make this brief. According to the nuclear waste dump of toxicity that is All Trails, this is supposed to be a 6.5 mile hike, give or take. Actually, one of the reviews on the trail, on the All Trails app says, well, this was supposed to be 6.5, but it ended up being 9, which by no means shocks me. So this is anywhere between 6.5 and infinity miles, because it's All Trails. And as we all know, say it with me, All Trails sucks. All right, we've covered where I am, we've covered what I'm doing, and we've covered the fact that All Trails sucks. The meat and the potatoes, so to speak. And it's ironic that I use that term because I'm actually a vegetarian, so really it's just the potatoes, but does anybody just want a plate full of potatoes? Okay, I'm getting derailed again. Got to the trailhead. It is a completely miserable wet day here in Oregon. It is the first weekend that we've had really big storms. We've had a few storms here and there, but we're now in the season of... So when I got to the trailhead, which is down a nice paved road, but it's literally just in the middle of actually a really pretty forest. 2 cars, one at the beginning of the parking lot and one way over by where you'd start the trail. And then there was a Forest Service maintenance truck driving around, but they weren't staying here. So what I am telling you, 2 cars, possibility of 4 people per car, per introverted math, 8 people possibly out here, more than likely less, and more than likely those are probably just abandoned cars, because who the hell's going to be out here in this weather? I mean, aside from the obvious. So far I am just ranting alone in the woods by myself. I am happy. There is solitude, there is silence, there is peace, and I have love growing within my heart. What's gonna happen to completely mess it up? Because you know, I'm at least gonna see some sort of feral Oregon hippie coming out of the forest completely naked and running back into the trees. I mean, that's gotta happen because I'm in Oregon and that's pretty much required for every hike. But yeah, what's gonna occur to totally mess this up? But because I'm happy right now, and we all know the universe just won't allow that. But at the moment, there's peace, solitude, and all is well in the world. So I'm actually gonna wrap it up here. I'm done with the introduction. I've told you everything you need to know. I'm gonna keep going through the spooky, rainy, misty woods. And I'm gonna hope that I don't find the scariest monster / predator of them all. Other people. Apparently, I picked a day in which absolutely nobody wants to be out hiking, which is completely amazing to me because I'm in the state of Oregon. It rains like probably 14 months out of a 12-month year. I mean, that's literally how many months it rains here in the state of Oregon. So usually people don't even notice. I mean, they literally will come out of the house. It's like pouring down rain. And they're like, "Yeah, nice day," and they just walk into it. They don't even notice that it's raining. But apparently today they've noticed, even though it actually really isn't raining. It's supposed to rain later, and that's going to be a great end of the video because I'm going to be angry, disgruntled, and soaking wet. But so far, still nobody out here. But what I will tell you, and what I've said in other videos, is the Columbia River area of the Columbia River Gorge, you know, the actual thing that the whole place is named after, has a railroad that runs right along the side of it. And it's I swear, it's like clockwork. Every 10 or 15 minutes or so, that train goes rolling through, and it doesn't really matter where you are in the gorge. It's gonna go, wah, and you're gonna hear it. I am about 7 miles away from that, and I just heard the damn thing. I mean, I realize I'm in the Columbia River Gorge whenever I hear the weird Columbia River train. So there's nobody out here, but I'm still being haunted by human technology and the overall presence of the human species. So although I have nothing to rant about as far as interactions with other people right now, they're still around. They're everywhere. So really, if you're a true antisocial, ridiculously, strangely introverted person, you know, extremely introverted person such as myself, there's no way and nowhere to get away from humans. Even out here in the spooky, you know, Bigfoot infested foggy forests, you still hear them. They're still everywhere. They permeate through the air. They permeate through time and space. Humans are just inevitable. And that's the problem. But at the moment, they're not in my immediate vicinity. I mean, trees and mud are. So I'm happy with the trees and mud, but I know they're around. They're lurking. And I just know by the end of this hike, I will probably see at least one other human being. And that is awful. It was bound to happen. I knew I couldn't play a no-hitter game. Is that a thing? A no-hitter game? That's a baseball metaphor, right? Is baseball, is that the game with the hoops and the field goal thingy and the basket? I don't know anything about sports other than hiking. But I was walking quietly through the forest, and I heard them. 2 people. They were walking very loud. Now, mind you, I heard them long before I actually saw them. Because remember that train whistle that I told you that I could hear that was about 7 miles away from here? Well, the loudness of that thing had nothing on what was coming through the forest at me. So the two individuals, the two people passed me, and one of them turned to me and said, "Oh, you're the first human of the day." And I'm like, why does that make you so happy? Why are you smiling? That is not something to smile about. When you look at me and say, "Oh, you're the first human of the day," you should be like, you're the first human of the day. And then you need to scurry down the trail as fast as you can, like I'm contagious or something. That is the proper way to greet me, if you have to greet me at all. But no, they were actually happy to see a fellow human. And I'm thinking to myself, go away, go away, go away, go away. Ah! So yeah, you knew this video would not go rantless. And I told you that there is no possibility for me to have a perfect hike in which it's just me and the Bigfoots and the bears and the cougars. No, they find me. No matter where I am, no matter how deep I go, they find me. So yeah, so what could have been a no-hitter game? Again, is that baseball? Is that the sport that's played with the hockey sticks? I mean, I literally have no idea. It sounds like I'd be bored to tears, but you knew I wouldn't have a perfect day. And you know that there is no such thing as a perfect hike. So yeah, unfortunately, I've encountered fellow humans. And that just sucks. Well, here we go. For a 45-year-old hiker, I call this the spine cruncher. Let's try it. Okay, under you go. Oh boy. Oh, there goes vertebrae number 1. Oh shoot, vertebrae number 2. Why is my backpack so tall? Oh, okay. All right, I think all the fluid sacs in my spine have ruptured, and I probably need to get to a hospital. I made it. Welcome to middle age. Well, you know that you've moved into a different phase of the hiking year when you're literally hiking in a creek. Well, I'm not actually hiking in a creek, but basically, I mean, this is the actual trail. I didn't just get off and stomp through a creek just to make this video, although that's something I'd probably do, if I was bored. But no, it's just wet out here. It's been raining. And water does what water does here in the Pacific Northwest. Now, I'm actually from California. Most of my videos, the majority of them still here on my channel, are of California hikes. And because I'm from California, I don't think I'd ever seen water before. I mean, there's basically none in California anymore. The whole state's a desert at this point. But up here in the Pacific Northwest, there's plenty to spare. I mean, this has been half the hike, and I guess I bought waterproof boots. Now, you know me, I don't plan, and when I buy things like boots, do I actually look at the descriptions of what the boots are and if they're waterproof? No, I just really fast hit the buy button on Amazon, and a day later I have boots that I hope against hope that are waterproof, and they seem to be, although I'm feeling a little moisture on the toe, so they might not be. But yeah. This is where I am at the moment. I mean, it's been an uneventful hike so far. I've only seen 2 other humans. Thank goodness I've only seen 2 other humans. That's something to celebrate. But now I'm literally walking in a creek. I mean, it's a trail, but it's a creek. It's a creek trail. It's 2 things at once. Wow. Okay, seriously, this is just cool. This is one of those times when I actually have something other than, you know, ranting about human beings to talk about. Look at this thing. Look at this. Look at this gigantic tree mushroom. I'm gonna put my hand, I'm not gonna touch it because, ew, slimy. But compare it to my hand, which is, my hand, by the way, is huge. That is a gigantic tree mushroom. And my hand is huge because I'm huge. I basically look like a shaven Sasquatch. I mean, that's basically my size and shape, but that is a monster mushroom. Welcome to the Pacific Northwest. You know, our trails are creeks and our mushrooms are mutants. And I'm a shaved Bigfoot. Wow, it's a Sunday. Anything can happen. Well, more unfortunate news here on the trail. I saw another person. Ugh. And in addition to that other person, I actually saw a dog along with that person. But unfortunately, it was just one dog. So introverted math dictates that the pleasant, wonderful nature of that one dog only cancels out half of the horrible, soul-sucking nature of the human being. Luckily, I can choose which half it blocks out, and I'm choosing the half that talks and, you know, tries to interact and socialize with me. So yeah, I'm gonna block that out. So I just saw just a pair of walking legs and a dog. We're just gonna leave it at that. But yeah. This is the second time in literally 2 days, because I did a hike on Friday too. You'll see that that's the Kings Mountain video that may or may not be posted before this. I did that on the Friday before this hike, and this is on a Sunday. And of course, the reason I'm out here today is because I was actually going to take Sunday off because it's, you know, gloomy and foggy and rainy and, you know, and all the horrible things that make up the Pacific Northwest. But I was told that my in-laws were going to come over for a while and hang out at my house. So I'm out here in the woods. Yeah, this is the second time in 2 days that a dog has just randomly walked out of the bushes and just stared at me. Actually, this one came up the trail, and it wasn't on a leash because people are awful and refuse to leash their dogs and claim, oh, my dog can be off the leash. We won't go into that diatribe. But yeah, I thought again that I was going to get attacked by, you know, I think it was some sort of mutt, because I can't really identify what it was. It was a mixture of a bunch of animals that had sex with each other sometime in the past. But yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful, wonderful dog. It was very friendly. But when you're face to face with something furry in the woods, you know, your mind automatically goes, is that a cougar? Oh, wait, no, that's a mutt. Yeah, no, just pet it and move on. But it was attached to a person who was coming up behind it. So, all right. So we have had three, count them, three other people out here on my moody, gloomy, foggy, rainy, misty, awful, nightmarish, dark, lovely, wonderful, beautiful day in the Pacific Northwest hike. I can't get solitude anywhere, folks. And no matter what day I come, and no matter how far into the spooky, weird, dark forest I go, there's always, say it with me, people. Splish, splash, 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 splash, splish, splish, splash, splash, squash. I knew it would just be a matter of time before the hell mouth opened. I am hearing hooting and hollering and screaming and talking and chatting, and they're coming at me. I mean, listen. Do you hear how loud that is? Is there any reason to be that loud in the woods? Okay, the awfulness is coming for me, the cloud of terror, and I see them, so I'll talk to you soon. So remember that really lame joke I made earlier where I was talking about how I was alone in the woods and there was absolutely nobody around? But I was pretty sure that there was like a convention center somewhere that was about to burst its doors open and flood the trail with 1,000 people. Apparently, it wasn't a joke. That giant cloud of ridiculous talking and hooting and hollering and noise that you heard coming at me, it was like a tourist bus just let a whole bunch of people off at the trailhead. There were at least like 7 or 8 people just walking in a big group, and it was literally like this weird dynamic where it was like a fluid group, and their conversation was just like blah, 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 blah. And like you could hear the conversation at the beginning, which was different than the conversation in the middle of the group as it passed me. And mind you, they didn't pay any attention to me. I literally had to get off the trail, crawl through the bushes just to pass them because they weren't moving. It's raining today. It is miserable out here. It is cold. It is windy. It is foggy. There's slimy mushrooms everywhere. And half the trail is literally like walking through a creek. And yet, they come. Of course, I'm getting closer and closer to the trailhead. And so easier access for the terrible to find me. And guess what? The terrible found me. But they seem to have blustered themselves deeper into the woods. So I'm hoping that they're annoying like squirrels and cougars and whatever that way. And I can continue to have a nice peaceful hike in this direction. But yeah, no matter how far in the woods I go, no matter where I go, no matter what time of year I go, no matter what day I go, no matter what weather I'm in, there are always people. Oh, heaven help me. Well, when it rains, it pours. Both metaphorically and actually literally, because it's starting to rain out here in the middle of the woods. Now, listen to what I just said. The middle of the woods, which means the middle of nowhere, right? Well, nobody told the gaggles of people that they're everywhere. They're coming out of the mist. They're coming out of the bushes. They're coming up the trail. They're coming down the trail. They're everywhere. Seriously, the beginning of this hike was so wonderful. It was quiet. I was alone. I thought I was actually going to be able to make a video where I didn't have to be an asinine, ranting lunatic for once. But no, I told you at the very beginning of this whole video that the universe, when it sees that I'm in solitude and happiness and there's love in my heart and I'm alone, it looks at me and goes, that's not your lot in life. And it piles upon me a plague of humans. Back in biblical times, they got plagues of locusts and toads and, cool things that I actually like. But no, I get plagues of tourists and other hikers and just random people walking through the woods with no map or directions or GPS or even a backpack on, just going, hey, where am I? So yeah, in other words, I'm no longer in the forest. I'm now in hell. So, according to the humanitarian disaster that is all trails, I have a little over 1.5 miles, about 1.8 miles back to the trailhead, and thus about 1.8 miles back to my car, and about 1.8 miles back to my ability to seek out freedom from the oodles and oodles of gaggles of people that are out here. I have no idea if that was grammatically correct or not, and frankly, I don't care. It's descriptive, and it lets you know I'm in hell. But at the moment, I seem to be in the middle of the forest by myself for a change. So I think it is time for me to do the trail rating. Now, originally, I was going to do the trail rating, and this was going to probably get a 9 or a 10. And then they came. So let me just tell you how we rate these damn trails first. It's on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the absolute worst possible scenario for an introvert, and that's Disneyland on the 4th of July. And if you've never been to Disneyland on the 4th of July, it's a day in which the Walt Disney Company has declared war upon all the people who are actually at the park, all the tourists. They've raised the prices to literally $1 million per cookie and $2 million per churro. Mickey, Minnie, and all the costume characters have sniper rifles. They have nests up at the top of the Matterhorn, and they're just picking off random tourists. There is trench warfare happening over by the Haunted Mansion. There are hourly bombing raids where they just zoom over and drop all sorts of dirty bombs. And there's roller coasters and people puking and fireworks exploding. The typical stuff. Military excursions and rides. That is introvert hell, the absolute nightmare for introverts. Okay, I've described the worst. Let's describe the best. A 10 on our scale is the equivalent of a field in the middle of Antarctica where there's nobody around for hundreds to thousands of miles, and it's just you and a trained, genetically modified mutant horde of giant human-eating penguins. They won't attack you because they recognize you as their leader. It's been imprinted onto their psyche. But if they see anybody else, it's penguin-geddon. So it's just you out there by yourself with no people and a bunch of quacking, psychotic penguins. That sounds like heaven to me. I consider that to be introvert heaven, introvert nirvana, and introvert whatever else is good. I don't know. I don't get that deep into it, but that's a 10 on our scale. So, given the fact that I just got interrupted just trying to make this part of the video, I'm going to give this entire trail a 3. It was going to get an 8 or a 9, but then the hordes found me and the nightmare descended upon my psyche. Unfortunately, right now, even though it's probably past noon, but it's the middle of nowhere. It's literally, look at it. It's foggy, it's misty, it's you've already heard me describe it as miserable, and it is, and yet they still came. Misery index, scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being trying to keep you clean, with 1 being an absolute pipe dream, complete fantasy. It's no misery whatsoever, and as you can tell, I'm always miserable to at least a certain degree. And a 5 being, of course, the worst misery ever. At the moment, with all of the people out here, I have broken that 5. I have broken the scale. The 5 has been obliterated, and now it's 5 gazillion trillion. I literally have to just invent a language to describe how miserable I am. So, that's where we are in the ratings today. I'm giving this trail a 3 only because, the 3 because there's so many people, but it was going to get an 8, and it didn't go lower than a 3 because there are sections of this trail that are very, very nice and very quiet, and I did have a lot of solitude for quite a while. Until the awful spread across the land. But anyway, I'm not going to beleaguer it anymore. I'm miserable. There's people out here, and come out here at your own peril. If I'm out here on a Sunday on a miserable rainy day, imagine what it's like during the sun. So, I have officially hit pavement. And you might be wondering to yourself, but introverted traveler, you're out there in the middle of the woods. Why would you hit pavement? Well, 1, I'm actually almost back to the trailhead. I'm moving the camera like you can see it. The trailhead's down in that direction somewhere. And 2, apparently there is a viewpoint here called Sherrard Point, which it's right near the trailhead. So I'm only probably, a quarter to half a mile away from the trailhead. But on a good day, this is a view hike, meaning you can come up here to Sherrard Point and you get to see apparently 5, count them, 5, oh, I thought my hand was dirty, 5 volcanoes, which to me means Jefferson, Hood, Adams, St. Helens, and probably Rainier, maybe, possibly, sorta. However, you're with me, and you're with me and my ability to plan, and I didn't really regard this as a views hike. I mean, this is like the last stop that I'm going to go on today. But yeah, don't ever expect views when you're on a hike with me, because I don't plan these things. Oh, this is going to be so anticlimactic. Apparently, the trail makes you work to get up to the point here. But today, we're literally going to go do stairs just to go look at walls of fog. Oh, it's one of my videos. So let's go look at walls of fog. Sherrard Point, named in honor of Thomas H. Sherrard, Forest Supervisor, 1907 to 1934, Mount Hood National Forest, whose devotion to the forests, foresight and planning made this and other areas available for public use and enjoyment. Oh boy, are you going to be disappointed. All right, let's start in order here. Mount Jefferson, 10,497 feet, and it is 62 miles from here. Well, as you can see, it's a beautiful shade of all right, let's go over here. Mount Hood stands 11,235 feet. It's 22 miles from here. So if it decides to explode in the next 5 minutes, it might actually kill me. And frankly, that would be more exciting than whatever the hell this is. Shades of white. How do I love ye? We go over to Mount Adams, 12,307 feet, 54 miles from here. Hi, Mount Adams. Okay, this is getting predictably stupid, but yeah, I told you, I bring you the best views of the abyss and of the chaos beyond the abyss. I don't bring you great views of mountains or trees. I just bring you... And I know I've done this joke before, but seriously, that's because this joke keeps repeating itself in my life. Mount Rainier, 14,410 feet. I don't know if you're noticing that the mountains are getting higher and taller as they go up towards Canada. It's 97 miles from here. Oh yeah, it's quite beautiful. Look at that majesty. All right, and last, and certainly not least, because it went boom, Mount St. Helens, 8,363 feet. That's the elevation, not the mileage. 46 miles from here. Look at the devastation from the eruption that we can see from here on Mount St. Helens. Okay, as I said, this is getting stupid, but I hope you get the point that I absolutely suck in planning, and I do totally inappropriate hikes at the complete wrong time of the year. I mean, if I was here for views, fog is beautiful. There's beauty in the mist. I don't know, but yeah, you're certainly not going to see any of those volcanoes I just mentioned today. Seriously, it's just empty whiteness out there. It's like the inside of Trump's head. All right, enough rampant stupidity. I'm headed back down. I mean, I've seen all the fog that I could see up here, so I'm going back to my car. So let's go do that. All right, well, I miscalculated, and I actually just passed the trailhead because my car is right behind me, but the parking lot is full of human gremlins, so I decided to just walk down the road so I can film this ending, because unfortunately it is time for us to say goodbye. It has just started to rain, so this is perfect timing for me to get in my car and get the hell out of here. I've been in the woods long enough, and there's people everywhere, but that means we have to say goodbye. Before that though, let's do a quick recap. Today We did the Larch Mountain Crater Loop Trail, which was basically a conglomeration of trails that took us through the middle of the woods and out by creeks and, you know, on trails that are covered with water and look like creeks, and through the woods with mushrooms and through the woods with unfortunate people, up hills, down hills, etc., etc. So all in all, it was a pretty good time. I mean, the weather kind of sucks out here, but aside from that, this has been a relatively okay hike. The first half especially was nice and quiet, nice and calm, but unfortunately, they came. But they're already here, and I'm leaving. So, you know what I'm about to say as raindrops gather on my camera lens. Stay introverted, everyone. And of course, I'll see you in the next adventure.